Council, and welcome to today's virtual workshop featuring Marjorie Williams. Let me just take a moment to introduce Marjorie Williams, who will be giving the presentation today on how to find bid opportunities. Marjorie Williams is currently a business consultant at the Minority Business Development Agency, Colorado Business Center, where she is responsible for providing clients with one-on-one consulting, joint venture and strategic alliance services, assisting with certification, preparing financial proposals, providing bid preparation assistance, and identifying marketing opportunities, which include facilitating procurement and financing transactions by developing an overall consulting strategy from opportunity identification to closure by leveraging the appropriate internal resources. Marjorie served as a contract specialist, top secret clearance, and unlimited warranted contracting officer, purchasing agent in the federal government for over 42 years. She was involved in the formulation and implementation of complex acquisition strategies and methodologies for acquisitions that were very large dollar, multi-year, technically complex, and national in scope. I am just very pleased to introduce to you our friend of the council and certainly a business consultant for the Minority Business Development Agency, Marjorie Williams.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Glad that you're here. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get started because as you see, our agenda is packed. And it's packed with things that you may have heard, but I hope it's packed with things you haven't heard, but that you're going to do. So this is our agenda for today. We're going to talk about the Stafford Act, that Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act, Special Emergencies, SAM registration, disaster response registration. We're going to talk about certifications, WSB, EWSB, and all the others, federal, state, and local disaster purging opportunities, state and local government bid methods, subcontractor opportunities, procurement, technical assistance programs, and government agencies' internal websites, and then we're going to summarize. So we're going to move right along. First things first, before you can bid on opportunities, the first thing you have to do is to find them. The trick, though, is to know where to find the opportunities and know that prospecting, in other words, finding it is not something that comes easy to small businesses. For one, you have to have a routine process for conducting those prospects. And I know you've heard before that the majority of the spend in most industries may never be published to a public website. But we're going to give you some insight to some of these other websites that we're going to talk about today. Federal, state, and local government opportunities. Despite the recent budget cuts for COVID-19, I want you to hear these three words, and I'll be repeating them over and over and over again. The U.S. federal, state, and local marketplace remains a lucrative opportunity for small businesses. Federal, state, and local government agencies buy over, $3 million, $3 trillion worth of goods and services. Every month, thousands of contract bids and requests for proposals are posted on the internet by what? Federal, state, city, county, school district agencies. The federal government itself typically spends approximately $500 billion in contracts every year. Keep that in mind because you're going to find out that your state and your local are going to have access to these things. One of the biggest challenges that small businesses face is uncovering the right opportunities, ones that match your capabilities and your growth plans. And one thing you need to, the U.S., they're one of the large, we buy everything. Buyers of goods and services, $7 trillion. And this makes the U.S. government the most reliable customer. I know we have some doubts right now, but businesses of all sizes selling everything from environmental services, products and lighting and office supplies. I want to start with the Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act. I know it's a mouthful, but we are currently under this particular act. And the thing that I have highlighted here is this means that it's designed for the federal natural disaster assistance for state and local, here we are, governments in carrying out their responsibilities to aid the citizens. It is the intent of the Congress by this act to provide an orderly and continuing means of assistance by the federal government here we go, to state and local governments in carrying out their responsibilities to alleviate the suffering and damage to which results from this such disaster. March 13, 2020, our president declared, due to coronavirus, that we are now under the Stafford Act. Okay, and that magnitude, it warrants emergency declarations for, here we go, all states. In other words, usually this only happens for 1 or 2 states, but it's all states, tribes, territories, District of Columbia, and it's the Stafford Act. This act has 2 types of declarations that allow the federal government to provide assistance to what? Your state and local governments in responding to what? An emergency. An emergency is this: any situation in which the president determines that federal assistance is needed to supplement state and local. You hear what I'm saying? State, local, federal, state, local efforts to save lives and to protect property and public health and safety, or to lessen or avert the threat of a catastrophe. A major disaster. I want you to know right now we're not in step 2. Hope we don't have to go there. But there is another step in this. But a major disaster, by contrast, is any natural catastrophe that the president determines causes damage of sufficient severity and magnitude of warrant major disaster assistance. But we are certainly in what? An emergency. Now, special emergency procurement authorities under the Federal Acquisition Regulation, because we are under the Stafford Act, these are special authorities that come into play. Originally, the micro purchase threshold has been raised, what, from 10,000 now to 20,000 for domestic purchases and to 30,000 for purchases outside the U.S. Micro purchase means they really don't have to go get a quote or anything. They can award if they get 3, but what they've done is they've raised that threshold. The simplified acquisition threshold is now raised from what, 250,000. I have $2, but it should be a 0, to 750,000 for domestic purchases and $1.5 million for purchases outside the U.S. Simplified means just that. Simplified means they don't have to go RFP, they don't have to go IFB, and all these other things that they have to do. They can just go simplified, and those are different regulations, and now they can go up to 750,000. Agencies may use simplified acquisition procedures up to $13 million for purchases of commercial item buys. I want you to keep in mind that now, because of this, the federal, state, and local governments can now tap into government contracting. And it also provides for accelerated payments, some of you will like this, to small business contractors and to small business subcontractors by accelerating payments to their prime contractors. If you have a government contract and you are a sub, this now they have accelerated payments. This is a whistleblower. I forgot my whistle, but I can't whistle. But anyway, I want to talk about, you have to talk about SAM. I have to talk about SAM because you have to have this registration in order to do any type of federal contracting. And it is official and it's free. I want you to know, if you go anywhere else and it doesn't say, if it says anything about money, you're in the wrong place. Here's how you know. .gov.mil means what? It's official, and it ensures that you're in the right place. And if you have not updated your registration, it's yearly. Make sure that you get that done. The other thing, the dynamic small business search, I don't know whether you know it or not, but if you are registered in SAM, everything that you have in SAM mirrors into dynamic small business search. This is the database where all government buyers, when they have an acquisition, let me tell you something, the first place they go is the dynamic small business search. And so it mirrors that. And that's also where you would get a cage code. And I know we've heard, I'm trying to answer the questions that you've heard, because I know we've heard about beta SAM and beta this and beta that. This just really gives you a comparison as to what's going on. SAM.gov is not changing right now, but it's going to. And that's where you should continue to go. But the new site, beta, they have it there just so it can differentiate between the 2 sites, but it's coming. So in addition to initial registration, you can update, you can still renew, check the status, search for your registration, and also an exclusion records on SAM.gov. So for the time being, though, SAM.gov will remain the same site as it has been. But once SAM.gov transitions into the new site, you won't see the word beta anymore. It will go away. It's just going to say SAM. But they want you to differentiate because, for one thing, it hasn't happened for your SAM registration, but you all know if you go to Fed Biz Ops and wage determination, the wage determination, those, the DOL, those have already switched to beta and they say beta. So you need to know that. And they're going to coexist until the current SAM.gov comes into fully transition, and that's when they'll give you those alerts. When that time frame is, who knows? But that's the difference. So if you see beta, it's just a moniker, but for right now, you need it to be in SAM.gov. And the reason why I wanted to go into SAM, what is the SAM Disaster Response Registry? This is where I want you to understand that federal, state, and local governments are going to be using this type of registry. It says when national emergencies or disasters such as flood and the COVID-19 occur, supplies and services need to be procured and rushed to the affected area quickly. SAM contains a disaster response registry listing contractors who are willing to provide debris removal, distribution, and relief supplies, construction, and other services. So this is the FAR regulation that you're looking here. They have now directed, it said the contracting officers, they will be consulting this registry. And let me tell you, they will go to this registry first before they do anything to determine the availability of contractors for these different areas. So a list of prospective vendors voluntarily participating in the registry can be retrieved and used under SAM. I'm telling you, this isn't the last place they're going to go. It's the first place they're going to go. How do I add my company to the disaster response registry? I heard you already. That's what I want you to know. Your entity must be fully registered, first of all, in SAM for federal contracts and other procurement opportunities to be included in the registry. It may take 2 to 3 days to register, or once you get done for it to show up. But the process, you have to indicate that you want to participate in a response registry and provide the required information. If you are already registered in SAM, now listen up. Be sure that your company is also enrolled in SAM's disaster response registration to do the business. If you don't know whether you're opting in, then you need to go back and review your SAM profile. And if it's not there, if it's not activated, then you need to edit it and opt in. And this will require you to go through your entire SAM registration. I just put down here in the last one, you can also check. In other words, if you don't want to go, log in, you know how it is now. If you want to check, you can go to www.sam.gov. You click on search records. You scroll down to advanced search, and you click on disaster response registry search, and then you enter your company's name in that entity box. There, if you find that you are there, if you can show up, then you're registered. If you don't, you are not, and you need to go in and add your company in. Very, very key here. Now I want to talk about self-certification. This is a WSB, EWOSB, and I want to talk about HubZone. I know the reason why I bring all this in, because sometimes we think of that only as federal government, but other places do it. But right now, that timeline for our women-owned small businesses, the WOSB and your EDWOSB, because of COVID-19, they have pushed back some of these processes that you was going to have to go through. The current certification process remains available until October 15th. So that's what you're in now. And that's where you go out on certified.sba.gov. But between now and July, WOSBs, you must download your documentation and put it into the repository. Just giving you these time frames because it's very key, because you used to be able to self-certify, but that's not going to be able to happen anymore. Okay, self-certification may be obtained also from one of the third-party certifiers approved by SBA, and I have them listed below. Okay, and you can do both methods. You can either go through this method, or you can go to one of these third-party certifiers that I have down here. And the only difference is self-certification is free, And the third-party certifications has a fee to them, but you can do it both ways. So that's the other thing. I just wanted to bring that to your attention if you're in the WOSB and EWOSB. HubZone, I want to talk about HubZone. HubZone, new annual certification requirements right now are on hold. If you are a HubZone under the federal government, in other words, some of those requirements are on hold right now. Due to the difficulty, the compliances and things of that matter, you have a little more time. A firm may maintain certification status from its most recent certification, so you'll be able to do that, okay? And a firm may voluntarily recertify on its anniversary date. That's just for now. But that's federal government. I want to show you that their HubZone expedited certification process. Oh, that's the other part. SBA may expedite. They need HubZone like yesterday. They may expedite your application. Okay, a firm that submit a completed package. In other words, you know how long it takes? You may get an expedite because of COVID. The other thing I want you to know is that the federal government isn't the only one that have HubZone or Hub business programs. I know for a fact that the state of Texas has one. So if you are wanting to do business in Texas or in North Carolina, I have the websites there. That's statewide. You need to check the state where you're in. It's not just a federal government thing. MBE certification. Here's the other thing. Mountain Plains, that's who we're operated by. Mountain Plains, they're putting this on today. This certification gives you MBEs access to top corporate purchasing agents and other networking. It is a national certification. When your company becomes a certified MBE, it gets a list of the minority supplier database. It's national, and some of your corporates will not even take a look at a small business unless you have this type of a certification. It is national. And then there's MBDA. We are operated by Mountain Plains, and therefore we work in partnership with them. And our primary goal is to assist you in firms in size, scale, and capabilities, and creating and retaining jobs. We help you MBEs to get to that next level. So we're all like a strategic partnership, all hooked in together. Let's talk about federal, state, and local disaster purchasing. We are in a disaster time. Goes back to Stafford Act. You need to really key up to what's going on and what's happening. GSA and VA disaster purchasing programs. They used to be only for federal government. Now, as I talked to you about the Stafford Act, they now allow state and local governments to buy supplies and services directly off of federal government contracting. So if they have a need, they can go to the federal government. If you got a federal supplies contract, they have authority now to use it. And I wanted to give you the definition of state or local governments. The term state or local government includes state, local, regional, or tribal government, or any instrumentality thereof, including any local education agency or institution of higher education. All these institutions that usually have their own little things that they're doing, they are now allowed to use the federal government purchasing system in order to purchase their information. State and local government bid methods. They use two types you're going to find in state and local. This is state and local. Centralized purchasing is when the government has one purchasing department and they make all the decisions. And so there's only one place. It's clear cut, to the point, all those types of things. They do their own thing, but it's centralized. And then you have the decentralized purchasing, is when individual departments must make their own individual purchasing decisions. The benefits to a decentralized organization structure are more flexible and open to change. So it just depends on the type of model that your state is doing, or the state that you want to do business in. If they got different places, or if they're centralized in one and only one place, and you know a lot of that happens. It's one place, there's one place and they do their own thing, or it's decentralized. Those are the individual departments. State and local government bid methods. Check out the methods in the states where you want to do business. State government procurement, Opportunities for private businesses are usually administered by each state individual purchasing, procurement, or general services department. Every state has their own thing. You need to check to find out what's going on. Cooperative purchasing, 2 or more governments purchasing under the same contract. State pricing agreements. I know Colorado uses cooperative agreements. That's where you go in and it's a whole nother agreement that you come into contact with them and they go to that list and they use it. Public sector purchasing cooperatives may be comprised of similar or varied governments with common requirements. State procurement cooperatives serving multiple local governments and consortiums, all these things. Many cities, counties, and states give a preference to local businesses in their procurement decision as a means of supporting their local economies. In other words, you need to get in on their registers, do these things, because when your bids come in and you're part of this, then you get that preference. Procurement policies beyond state governments. Many counties have their own procurement policies. Everybody can do their own thing. The federal government has theirs, but all these other ones, all these other places have theirs. Know what's going on. Certification programs. Some of these cities and states require you to have that state and local certification. You need to find out what that is in the states that you want to be in. Other, some of them have cash. Come on, they spend cash, and we want the government purchase cards, purchase orders. All these different instruments are there, and you need to know the method from where you're trying to go. Subcontract opportunities, we got to talk about those. There's FPDS, that's the Federal Procurement Data System. They identify large contractors that want to establish contracting subcontracting plans. You can go to fpds.gov. USA Spending tells you everything what the government's spending, when, where, what agency. You want to know what they're doing? Check USA Spending. SBA Subcontracting Assistance Directory. I've been on that particular website, and let me tell you, they have all the companies there who are looking for someone to subcontract them with. There's a list out there. Get to it. Then there's Subnet, published as a marketing aid for small business, SDB, WOSB, HubZone, all these different things. These are for you if you're interested in subcontracting. Maybe you don't want to be a prime. Maybe you're not ready to be a prime. But these are people that you know that are looking for what you want. Procurement Technical Assistance Programs. I want to talk about PTAP. I know you know about PTAP, but PTAP is actually Defense Logistics Agency, DLA. They have established to expand the number of businesses capable of participating in government contracts. That's what they're trying to do. This program is administered by DLA in cooperation, here we go, state, local governments, and nonprofit organizations. They're so linked together, especially now. And then there's your PTACs. Some of you are familiar with your PTACs. They are also, did you know that they perform under DOD? And they also deal with state and local governments and with government prime contractors. And most of the good thing about PTAC, most of their stuff is free. But they have registrations, they talk about SAM and those types of things. But I want you to be aware of the programs that DLA is into, but they cross over into your state and your local. Government agencies, internal websites, other than FedBizOps. FedBizOps is the 90 catch-all. All of them must, anything over 25,000 federal government, they have to be on FedBizOps. It's like all your cars have to be at the Department of Motor Vehicles. All all your car dealerships have to register their cars. But I don't have to. They're all there. But I can go to Chevy, Cadillac, anywhere I want to get my car. There's internal ones you can go to. The same thing here. These FBO is the most popular site that receives a large portion. But many government agencies, I'm telling you, post opportunities internally in addition to FBO. Registering for these third-party internal websites is another way of receiving opportunities which may or may not be publicized. As I was telling you, we're under different restrictions right now with simplified acquisitions. Everything may not hit there. They may not. Here's one, FEMA Tender of Service Program. Probably never heard of it. FEMA procures its transportation needs through this program. you have transportation, you have whatever you're doing with loading and all those types of things, you need to get on, you need to register. There's the website. USACE, United States Army Corps of Engineers, ACI, a program developed and implemented specifically for what? Emergency and disaster scenarios. That's where they are. You have to be in SAMS, but here's the thing. You need to make sure you get on there. They're doing all types of things. Unison, I know y'all heard of them. They said, oh, that's a reverse auction place. But let me tell you something. There are almost, when I get down into MIC down here, Mission and Installation Contract Command, they use Unison. That's where they post all their things, 40 regulations, all these types of things. And these things, you really don't pay for anything because the government pays your fee. The FedMall, another place. That's another place where DLA and all these other federal agencies, they use FedMall. Missions, MIC, they're all over. They've got 30 contracting offices, all these different things that they're doing. Internal, in addition to not just FBO, DLA, internet bid, system, that's DIBS, another one. Internal, just just make sure you stay into these. I put this slide in here because I know that I've heard about the scorecards and things from the Small Business Administration. I wanted just to put this in here for it's really for your information type slide, because they have an assessment tool that they use every year. And this is what they do. They measure how well the federal agencies are doing. They do the prime and the subcontracting component, those goals and those types of things, and then they give them a rating. But what I want you really to know is that for every agency, if you're interested in, you need to find out what their individual small business goals are, because sometimes they're lacking in one or the other. But I want you to know that there is a scoreboard that's kept. This is was strictly for your information. And I'm going to summarize here. Just summarize what we talked about. Small business contractors continue. Let me tell you how important small business contractors are to everyone. You are really a star. Small business contractors continue to play an important role in helping federal agencies to respond during COVID-19. Opportunities remain available for small businesses to bid on contracts and contribute to missions agencies. SAM registration and searching for solicitations is a prerequisite, that's all, for finding the right opportunities, but also use other methods to increase your chance of winning contracts. In summary, we talked about the Stafford Act. Because of that, all these different things, it puts FEMA in charge of coordinating all these efforts. State, local governments can request a 70% cost share for expenses related to emergency relief, all these different things. Take proactive steps to ensure your company is positioned to provide much needed emergency assistance through these new federal, state, and local opportunities. Get yourself in the position for them to get to you. Register in the Disaster Response Registry. It's a tool the federal, state, and local governments use to determine the availability of contractors for the disaster relief. Know the rules. We talked about all that. I know it's been a lot that's come in there, but you need to know the rules and regulations that govern the process. Understand policies and procedures for the types of acquisitions you want to pursue. Take advantage of the multiple resource programs that exist and to find out about how to pursue all these different things. And just a little more, monitor your federal, state, and local government procurement portals. As I told you, every state has one. Ensure your federal supply schedule, if you have one, is updated. Why? Because state, local, and government and everyone else can now use them. Get out of your comfort zone. Get out of just FBO. Register on the government internal website. And in conclusion, contractors who seek out federal, state, and local opportunities are more likely to have a positive impact in responding to COVID-19. As more federal, local, and state funds become available, and they are pouring them in, and coronavirus response needs become more defined, the measures listed above may help your business with the federal, state, and local customers who need them the most. A lot of information, but things we need to know. This is our contact information. You can read that for yourself. There's the MBDA and the Mountain Plains. I thank you for giving me the time. I hope that I have said something that you didn't know, that you want to know, that you should know, that you will use. These are things that if you don't know, you won't be in position for what's going on now. This is an awesome opportunity for your federal, state, and local bidding opportunities. Go for it. Thank you. Back to you, Belinda. I'm done.
So Marjorie, thank you so very much. That was a wealth of information that you have provided. So with the time that we have, and for those of you who have joined us live or on this call, we want you to be able to go into the chat box and be able to submit your questions. But I do have a few questions, Marjorie, that you could answer for us, which would be great if we could do that.
Yes.
All righty. So we'll keep the screen on you so we can make sure that people can hear and see you.
All right.
All right. So can you give us, you're working with clients every day with the Minority Business Development Agency, which the council operates. What are some of the 3 to 5 success tips that you have found when working with the clients as they pursue federal, state, and local opportunities? Give us 3 to 5 tips.
The tips, I think they come right from what I've talked about. The first thing I ask them is if they're pursuing federal government, are you in SAM? The other thing that I found and successfully found for some of them, they didn't realize that they weren't on the registry. And so they got on the registry and those types of things. And like I said, those are the success stories that we have. And like I said, and we've been able to to assist them not only just in finding the opportunities, but also in preparing the proposals. It's so important, with your capability statements and the way that you do things. But like I said, those are the things that we work with them to ensure that when they look them up, that they are there and they will want to pull them off of those registries, to pull them out of the dynamic small business searches, those types of things. So that's the main thing if they're working with federal contracting, and if they're working with private industry, even with the airport and things of that nature. Again, you need to understand the process.
Okay, so that's a good point. So answer this then. Can you give us, since you're in the database all the time, in the different databases, and you're doing the searches for the clients, can you give us a feel for the 3 to 5 opportunities that you see most often, or are they across the board?
It depends really. Some of the like the federal government uses your NAICS code, and then other ones states use NIGP codes. But what I see a lot of is IT, information technology. But I always want to know if it's information tech, what is it? So therefore, those are a lot of information technology. Right now, I'm sure they're looking for all the masks, all those types of things. Like I said, it is such an array of things that you can look for. But it depends on what I'm looking for, what you're doing, and that's what I do in my strategy meetings to determine exactly where it is that you want to, where your buying power is, what you want to do, where's your sweet spot, what is that you want to do. But I'm telling you, these systems that they have out right now, you really need to pinpoint where you are and what you're doing. So it can be in staffing, personnel, those types of things. They're in every area. I don't think there's a lack of anything. Really, it depends on where you want to do business and what your company is doing.
So, question: there are so many different websites, right? I mean, you listed, I don't know, at least 5. I just want to get started. Which one would be the best way to get started? Would that be the beta? I just want to start working with the government. Get my
information. If you just want to get started,
yeah.
Working with the government, it is Fair Biz Ops. Fair Biz Ops is where everything has to go, but you also need to learn the system so you know how to pull up what you're looking for. Or you'll put in one, and there's thousands and tens of thousands. You have to know how to work the system. And what some of these internal websites do is they're more specific to what they're looking for, and you're not in the Nani catch-all. That's what I call it, database. They're really, and not only that, it also, when you go into the internal website, it to a certain extent, your competitive your competition is less because everybody's not on it. Biz Ops, everybody's there. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, I like DLA, I like DIBS, because they pinpoint things that go into there. But we have Gov Purchase where I can look. But like I said, if I'm looking for something, I'm really looking according to what your next codes are. And like I said, then it depends on which websites I'm going to go to. And as far as beta is concerned, like I said, beta for Biz Ops right now is totally different. If you use the old FBO system, FBO is now beta, and let me tell you, it's a whole different way to find things. But like I said, it's there, but it depends on how specific you want to be and where you want to be.
So as a business owner, is there a certain threshold in terms of financials that I have to meet if I want to be considered a prime, or would it be best that I look at subcontracting opportunities to get started based on my financials?
Your based on your financials. In other words, if you're looking at let's say you're looking at an opportunity and you know that that's probably millions of dollars, maybe that's not where you are. And that's what you have to do. You have to look at the statement of work. You have to look at what they're asking you to do to see where you can perform. Can you do it all? Maybe you only do a piece of it. There may be a piece of it that you can do, but they want you to bid the whole thing. And that's the main thing. You have to look at these statement of work, look at these schedules to see what they want, to see if you can perform. If you cannot, then subcontracting may be where you want to go. For one thing, subcontracting, you don't have to fill out all that paperwork, for one. But the other thing is you'll be working with, it's kind of like with 8A. If you're going to be 8A, that prime contractor has to be doing at least over 40% of the work, or they have to make sure they're subbing out 40% of the work. And like I said, it's a matter of if you want to be a prime. I know we all want to be a prime, but do you want, or be in the sub? If you can't prime, I'd rather get 10%, of something than 0% of nothing. But like I said, because under subcontractor, you have to work out that type of agreement. So again, you need to really look at the statement of work, the specifications, to see if you're big enough. It may not be if you make enough money. Could be, do you have enough staffing, enough expertise to do the work by yourself? If you can't, then subcontractor may be what you want to be, or maybe you want to find a subcontractor to work with you and set up a team.
So we know, Marjorie, since the council is the operator of the MBDA, that certainly the MBDA has been very successful over the last several years in terms of working with its clients, meaning that you've been able to work with clients whether they need RFP assistance or they need to have certain certifications. Can you tell us a little bit more about the MBDA and its services that it provides?
Yeah, MBDA, basically, like I said, one of the things is we work with our client database. It's not a database of startup businesses. Basically, our target database is anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million in revenue. However, we do work, if we see the potential, we do work with that. But like I said, what we really want to do is to help you to get to the next level. If you're at $500,000, we want to make sure that you get to the $1 million. So therefore, we're going to be looking at your capability statements. We're going to be looking at how, what are your marketing strategies that you're trying to do? Where do you want to go? How do you want to get there? If you have the opportunities and those things of that nature, then we're going to help you to make sure that you're filling them out properly. Like I said, all the way down to your negotiating, down to your pricing, all the way down to those types of things. And we're going to really sit with you. Like I said, in my strategy meetings, I'm always sitting here to have you to tell me, what do you do? How do you do it? We also work with that 45-second elevator speech, because sometimes that's all you have. We make sure that you have that down pat. But we're looking into all the particulars of your business, of how you're doing your business. And the good thing is um, we have enough of the information, and we have enough referral systems and things of that nature to get you to that point. That's basically what we do. And like I said, here's the other thing is that we are at MBDA, it's not whether you're a large or small business, you just have to be minority owned. So we work with large and small minority owned businesses. But like I said, that's the thing that we're trying to do, is to get you to that next level in your business and help you to find those opportunities, do the opportunities, like I said, and know rules, regulations, and all those other things that what we've just talked about on today. So basically, that's what MBDA does. And like I said, we did over 139 million, and kind of helping them to get those awards. Like I said, we do construction, staffing, every type of genre, as you can call it, that you have, or industry that you have. We're not restricted, and we have 43 centers all over the United States. It's not just us here. We have an export center. Those of you that are exporting or want to export, we have a manufacturing one that specializes if you're doing manufacturing. We even have research and development. I said we are very well rounded as to what we can provide and where we can point you to in that direction, and very hands-on and very one-on-one.
So since it is the Denver MBDA, are we limited to just being in Denver to look for the opportunities, or can you work with the other MBDA centers? Or how do you go about doing other searches outside of Colorado, particularly since the council covers? Can you share that a little bit with us?
Yes. We're connected, MBDA, and we have 43 centers, and we're connected through Salesforce. So we have access to their database. But also what MBDA has provided for us is a system that they call GovPurchase. GovPurchase, I can look at any DOD agency all over the United States under any NAICS codes that you have, to find opportunities for you, even down to a zip code. If you want to work in a particular zip code, and I said that's DOD, and also state and local, and we get those opportunities. We can pull those up on. I do opportunity searches that we do for you, and all those types of things. And we can also look at other companies, but we are global as far as to where we can look for opportunities. Like I said, what we have to do is to hone in on where it is that you want to be. In other words, where you want to be, whether it's one state, 10 states, or where you want to be. But we have that capability, and I said, and we're connected. I said, again, we're connected. Our center, we're connected to Salesforce and have access to everything that they have access to.
Awesome. Thank you for that. In the closing few minutes, and certainly, Margie, I want to thank you. I want to make sure that I have asked the questions that have been submitted accordingly. One additional question would be on the financing. Wow, I would certainly like to make 500,000 to $1 million. You mentioned that as a threshold. I'm not there yet, but I know that I will be. So what are some of the opportunities that I was looking at those different websites to get funding, particularly in the midst of this COVID? A lot has been shared in terms of where to go for financial assistance. Can you help us with that?
By financial assistance, are they talking about assistance to find the opportunities, or are they talking monetary? Do you know? Monetary. Again, like I said, though we do not, MBDA, we don't have money as such, but we do have resources, or what we call strategic partnerships with other lending facilities that we refer people to. Randy McCall, who's our director, comes from Key Bank, a financial background, and so we would not only and they have some real creative type financing. It's not all bank financing and that type of thing. We were very involved in all the PPP, EIDL, all those types of things, keeping you informed of where to go and what to do. And that's what we do. We would refer you, but not only would we refer you, but if you needed to, we could take a look at your paperwork to ensure that you're prepared to go into that bank, or to prepare, to submit your application. We'd be able to at least put eyes on your documentation, that type of thing. But that's what we do. We have strategic partnerships with other lending corporations or facilities that we can actually hook you into or refer you to, who know that if we referred you, that you have your stuff in order, and that that we would be there to help you. So that's how we would work. That's how we work with the financing itself.
Thank you for that. Thank you for answering that. Let me just double check. I want to make sure that I've got all the questions that have been submitted, that you have answered those particular questions. I think, Marjorie, certainly we want to say thank you. You bring to the table years of experience in working with the federal government, being in that space, paralegal in the background, and certainly if people didn't know you in terms of having that educational background and the religious, certainly we appreciate you. So we want to say thank you. In the closing comments, unless there are some additional questions, I want to just share with everyone that is on the call a little bit about some of the things that the Mountain Plains Minority Supplier Development Council, what we have done. We have been working remotely. Many of you are working remotely, and certainly we are all in this together. The main thing is to be safe, but we certainly want to continue to be productive, as well as making sure that your business stays financially viable. And so anything that the Mountain Plains MSDC or the MBDA can do to assist you with that effort, we are certainly here to serve you. Over the last month and a half, the Mountain Plains Council has put together, we had a series of town hall meetings in the month of April, followed by a workshop that was taught by Marshall Payne, one of our certified MBEs, that talked about technology during this COVID or the pandemic. Additionally, we had a corporate roundtable that we had about 15 to 20 of our corporate members, and we also spotlighted 3 of our certified MBEs that comprise the region that we represent, which is Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, and Western Missouri. For this particular month, we are having a couple of access opportunity events that will feature some of our corporate members, and so stay tuned for that. Coming up, we will have Comcast Universal. They are preparing to share with us in terms of how do you do business with Comcast, but not just how do you do business with Comcast, but what are some of the opportunities. In addition to that, we will be having Union Pacific, CHI, the University of Nebraska, or the University that will be joining us as well, and the American Red Cross will be joining us as well. So between May and June, you will see a series of access opportunity events. All of them will be done virtual. So that makes it really nice. You don't have to go anywhere but where you are right now and be able to partake in those access opportunity events. We are then going to follow up and having one-on-one, so that way you could talk directly to the particular buyer. The council has had to shift, like so many organizations. By this time, we would be gearing up for our golf tournament that was scheduled the 3rd week of June. That has been moved, and we'll see how that goes for September 1st. We have pushed out some of our major events until the fall. Some of those events, they will be done virtually, so we're pretty excited about that. This is new just for the council, just like it is for so many other organizations. So the council is here, the MBDA, under the leadership of Stan Senna, who is our president and CEO. We certainly want to thank you for participating today. We could not do this without Clifton Clark of Computer Decisions, certified MBE out of Houston. We want to say thank you so very much, Clifton, for the continued work and service that you provide to the Mountain Plains Council. We also want to thank Carlos of Blue Bamboo. Carlos is responsible for the council's website, so check it out. Works directly with Tashana Dawkins, our administrative assistant. That is with the council. Some of the folks that are not here, but I wanted you to know that we are behind the scenes trying to make sure that things are happening. So the council works with its own certified MBEs to make sure that we do what we need to do, and that is to push the mission forward. So with that, we want to say thank you for your time today. We're in this together. We hope that you stay safe, be productive, and we look forward to seeing you virtually at the next Mountain Plains MSDC event. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.